Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary, and you are listening and watching the You Should Know podcast. We got Jeremy on today. We have a wonderful topic, speaking Gen Z in recruiting. So Jeremy's got some ideas, and we've got questions. So Jeremy,
questions.
we do have questions. Would you do us a favor and introduce yourself?
Be happy to. And William and Ryan, thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Jeremy Bilsky, I'm the Senior Director and General Manager for Advanced Partners. So who is Advanced Partners? Advanced Partners is a financial services company that provides working capital and strategic services to temporary staffing firms all throughout the United States and even a handful in Canada. We've been in business for 26 years, and I've had the privilege for being here for just over 20 myself, helping companies of all different shapes and sizes, from startups to mid-sized firms to behemoths doing several hundred million in annual sales. So we've really kind of run the gamut through our time in business, seeing businesses in different cycles and in a variety of verticals, from healthcare to IT to light industrial, clerical, accounting, finance, legal, really seeing lots of different perspectives. And as I like to tell people that when they start working here, I've been here 20 years. I've never worked for a staffing firm, but vicariously I kind of have, working with thousands of clients over the years, which is fun. And it's nice to share what we've been able to learn over the years in forums like this.
Is one of your products factoring?
It is.
It is. So
it's receivables financing. As you guys both know all very well,
right.
Cash flow is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cash flow negative business model. The more you grow, the more your profit sitting there in your AR, waiting to be unleashed in payments. And you got to make payroll generally every week or every other week, and that's why we exist. That's how we came together in 1998 to try to address that challenge. We weren't the first ones to do it, but we think we're the best that does it, and it's an acute need in the industry that isn't going away, and we don't expect it to, and we're happy to answer the bell.
The need for cash will never go away, especially in staffing. But Jeremy, I'm not a mathematician here, definitely not a professor or anything like that. But you've been there for 20 years. I'm guessing you're not Gen Z at this point, right?
I am not Doogie Howser. I'm not a prodigy. I did not graduate any of my educational levels. So yes, I'm not Gen Z.
The fact that you mentioned Doogie Howser tells me you're definitely not.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. Gen Z. Although I will pull it up on demand today because that was a hell of a series.
Where do you want to start, Ryan? Where do you want to start with Gen Z? Like how do we talk to Gen Z?
Yeah, let's define Gen Z, because I know it's all relative in that same area of time frame. But let's define Gen Z for the audience, and then we're gonna start jumping in and I was gonna say crushing. I'll hesitate. I'll say talking about how we talk Gen Z. I'm gonna be nice.
Us.
Well, I think that obviously there's the categorization by years, but I think of, when I hear Gen Z and I think of who I've encountered over the years and now, I think that there's actually there's pre-pandemic Gen Z, and then there's post-pandemic Gen Z. We're all changed. We're all changed because of the pandemic, but I don't know if anybody is more changed than our Gen Z friends, because chiseled old veterans, like us, we had a lot of work experience and life experience prior to the pandemic, where I actually think that I'm guessing we're roughly around the same age.
Ish.
We were impacted less. People in our sphere, the Gen Xers, we were impacted much less than Gen Z. Or I actually go to the other end of the spectrum too. The older folks, the boomers who were thinking about jumping off ship and retiring, and then they didn't know if there was any, if they were on dry land or not. So I think that to talk about Gen Z, I think you need to talk about what experiences have been like for them before the pandemic and then after, because the post-pandemic Gen Zers are much more concerned about things that Gen Xers weren't interested in and still probably aren't, and probably same with the boomers. And this is the generation that's now providing current and future leaders for all of our industries, staffing and really beyond. And they care about things that are different from what we were born and raised on. And I'm not here to litigate it and say that anybody's right or wrong. It doesn't actually really even matter.
It doesn't
We just need to figure out what makes all of us tick, and then try to leverage that to the point where we can maintain and retain a viable workforce that can get things done. And it's a huge challenge that we have in this country. We already have a working pool of workers that is insufficient to meet the demands of what work needs to get done. And
is this
we have to be very sensitive to this.
Is the passing of the baton from we'll say from X to Z different or any different than boomers passing it down to Xers?
Well, you skipped millennials, but
I did. Yeah, we'll just jump over them. Don't need them.
Although there's a lot of hate for millennials, towards Gen Z, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
I think that there is a difference, because the availability to information when us Gen Xers were coming into the workforce was very different. If you wanted to read something, you were going to the library. And you were reading dated material, unless you were pulling up a newspaper
and the whole thing. Yeah.
Copy card.
Right. Yeah. Microfiche. Remember that? So
I do.
It's kind of messy. I think we were less enlightened. I think we were more obedient. I think we were less likely to question the status quo.
100%.
We were just rolling with the punches. Hey, I'm doing what my parents did, or what they told me to do. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. And I think that that's how people were more likely to roll. I'm not saying that there weren't, rebels amongst us. Of course,
sure.
But by and large, I don't think we knew what was out there. The world was a much smaller place. Information traveled differently, and now you can ruin someone's reputation with the click of a tweet. We didn't have that. So I think this is more an age of enlightenment, and we could talk about the downsides of it too, but we don't have enough time for that. I think that it's broadened this generation's horizons to other lines of thinking, and now actually experiencing working in this environment. Some for the first time joining the workforce, saying, "Hey, I care about the social responsibility of what we're doing. It's important that the work that I do makes a difference, or I don't necessarily want to work 40 hours a week because there's more to life. Live to work. I work to live."
And you've got these, Jeremy. You've got these polarities, because we absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you've got like Tractor Supply, John Deere, Microsoft, all getting rid of their DEI programs. and SHRM, the Organization for HR, deleting equity and just going with I&D, inclusion and diversity. And so it's really interesting to see. I think that's more Gen X and probably even responsive to some customer bases and maybe placating to people that feel a certain way about DEI. But then you've got an entire audience, you've got an entire group of people that care about the climate change, you care about equity and things like that. So it's like at one point something's got to give between these two forces, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that it's a little bit uncomfortable for me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think we as employers are backpedaling a little bit. I think that I don't think that we're coming from a position of strength. And I'm not saying that.
Hi, I'm Carmen Hudson. I'm the host of the Recruiting Book Club, and we're starting our second season. I'm so excited to bring to you another set of guests of recruiters who have written books. We are excited to have some very special guests this season. We've got Shally, we've got Craig Fisher, James Ellis, and quite a few other people that we're going to bring on board to tell us about what they wrote, why they wrote it, and maybe we'll veer off into a conversation about recruiting on all types of topics and subjects that happen in our industry. So I hope you can join us. I'm excited.
The playing field should be equal. There should be equity between employer and employees. No one should have an advantage. We should be equals. I truly believe that. And that might be slightly idealistic, and some of your listeners might say this guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And maybe I don't. But I think that the pendulum has really shifted to being so pro-employee, and it's been this way for such an extended period of time. Really, the last about 4 years, because when hiring picked up when the pandemic was just on the front end, in staffing, for example, staffing lost 30% of its employees like that, faster than you could say. Yeah. Right, faster than you could say William Tin Cup. But it came back quickly, and it came back quickly in an environment where we don't. Again, I'm not going to rehash all the stuff that was 2020 and early 21, but people's habits changed, their desires changed. They were exposed to things that they weren't exposed before. Working from home, working sporadically, and this was on the heels of the wave of the gig economy too, which it didn't really take a break. It did not take a break, and you have fewer W-2 workers right now. You have more 1099s. You have lots of people that still are not working. You have the child care crisis. You have fewer women working because unfortunately they're typically more impacted by the child care expense, and net of child care expenses, doesn't make sense for a lot of families to have two working parents.
Well, it's not even doable.
Right. It's not. No, it's untenable. You're right. That's a huge problem that I think is starting to get some more attention. But when you add that into the mix, and birth rates are down too, which obviously I have teenagers. I feel like they were toddlers a week ago, but the workforce that they're going to join in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be fewer of them joining, because the birth rate thing didn't start recently. But when you factor in inflation, the tail from inflation and the cost of having families and college and all that, there's going to be a ripple effect. I mean, we've already seen it, and the scarcity of workers is profound. And
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question, Jeremy. So so you made mention to employees coming back in force, putting employers at a disadvantage, coming from a more defensive perspective in terms of hiring, because they're forced to change, because they're forced to accommodate all of these different types of workers now and these different demands. I should ask you, is that creating almost an insincerity on the employer's part we're going to take up causes, we're going to support causes, we're going to put money behind things because, well, we have to, or we can't be in business. But it's insincere. And at what point does that just collide?
You can't recruit talent, so you're going to care about climate change.
We're going to care about climate change, right? Yeah. But then at what point does that just hit the wall anyway, and you're done now?
I think that's why the companies that are pulling back out of DEI, they never really wanted to do DEI.
Right.
Well,
and it fell forward.
Or if they did, they're facing harsh repercussions for it because of
correct. Because
I know we should avoid politics here with the 30-foot pole, but I feel like it's fair game to talk about the consequences of the political environment being what it is. Ryan, to your point about sincerity or insincerity, what may have been initial sincerity turned into insincerity because of the backlash, because of the repercussions. You know, I don't want to buy from a company that supports X. This is a waste of my time. It's I just want to go buy the product and not have to worry about, what they stand for. Why do they have to stand for anything? And there's only so many causes that are apolitical that a company, any company, can support.
I'm not sure any cause is apolitical. I mean, even tough. Something like SPCA, it's like, okay, hey, we're going to help with this. I can see some people going, I don't care about animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, like I'd rather have the money.
How about a community that's been ravaged by a hurricane? So the Red Cross draws up money, and you can't go more than 2 minutes without somebody saying, "Well, is it a red state or a blue state?" Like, who cares?
That's right.
There's people that don't have a house anymore. Just help them.
But they don't have water.
Right. But this is and if you're on the wrong side of that, then you're going to make somebody mad.
That's right.
It's really, it's an untenable standard that honestly I think we're all being held to, but particularly employers, because they didn't go into business to stand for this or that. They came into business because they have a compelling product to sell, and if they're good at it, they stuck around, and then they made a name for themselves and they branded to it, and then there's all these other expectations held to them. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is. It's a byproduct of the environment that we all live in right now.
What's fascinating is Gen Z in particular, one of the first generations to basically point that stuff out and hold our feet to the fire in the sense of, hey, I won't work with you unless you're this way. Whatever that way is, it doesn't really make a difference. But the idea, again, as Gen X, I didn't care. If I went to AutoZone, did they have
they sold car parts. I sold car parts for them. I stocked shelves.
Do they have this part? I just need this part. That's all I need. I don't care whether or not they donate to this or whether or not it's this. But to your point about the difference between Gen X and Gen Z, Gen X, we were, I'd say, again, not enlightened maybe as much as we thought we were. And now Gen Z, they won't take jobs. They will look at a job and go, okay, I love the job. I can do the job. I have the skills, et cetera, et cetera. What's your stance on this, this, and this? And if it's not in alignment, it doesn't have to be total alignment. But if it's not in somewhat of alignment, it's like, no, I'm good. And just take my name out of the hat. Yeah, I have no interest working for a company that cares about, whatever the issue is. And their issues change from day to day and from cause to cause.
Yeah, and hearing you describe that, it really makes me think about there's a continuum of, I'm willing to say this, at least for myself, we were somewhat ignorant.
Yeah, and 100%.
And if there's such a thing as being
blissfully so.
Okay, blissfully so, right. I love the 80s. They were great. And now you have an overabundance of information.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that the Gen Z mentality is wrong. It's just
it's different.
It's just adding a litany of additional factors to decisions that may or may not be relevant to, hey, is this a good place for me to work? This is a great place for me to go saddle my wagon to build a career.
Ryan, this is for you as well because you started in recruiting. Do you think recruiters are up for that task because they're used to just selling the job, the job description, the job, maybe a little bit of the company, but more about the job? Do you think recruiters are up to sell? Because that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to sell the policies and procedures and the values of the company as well as the job description. So, Jeremy, you both y'all answer. But what do you think they're up for the task?
For me, honestly, I think it depends on who the recruiter is and where they come from.
Yeah.
If I'm recruiting, I'm probably going to have trouble with that. I can adapt, right? Because I need a job. But if a recruiter's coming in and they grew up in this environment, they're going to be able to.
I couldn't do. It would be totally insincere for me.
Also I said I could do it because I need a job. However,
fair.
Yeah,
got it.
But if one of our kids were doing it, no, they would get it. They'd understand it, and they'd be able to. They wouldn't work for the company if they truly didn't believe in the company.
Well, I've got one kid that would not care because he's so far into the military, and then one kid that would probably care too much. So I've got the spectrum.
Yeah.
So, but Jeremy, you see this day in, day out. Do you think recruiters, do they need to be, is it training? Is it awareness? Like what's going to make them better to then deal with the audience has shifted. Okay, we can argue over how and why and all that other stuff. Great, fantastic. But the audience, i.e. candidates, Gen Z as candidates, the audience has shifted.
Tuesday on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon. Series premiere Tuesday on NBC.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
How do recruiters shift with them or hiring managers shift with them?
I think there's some degree of absorption that they need to have, which I think they were doing before. I think a good recruiter knows they know the audience. They know what's
they can play the game.
And they can play the game. If they're successful at it, they play it well because you're a successful recruiter if you put wins on the board. You find talent. You get people hired. So I think it's just heightened awareness and really maybe leaving some of their personal opinions at the door. And I don't know. As I say that I feel like I'm touting disingenuous behavior. But
no,
I think that it's you called me on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
But I think, hey, here's how I'll soften a little bit. It's developing a muscle group that didn't really exist before.
Right.
Which ultimately is going to make a recruiter better at their job.
Yeah.
And keeping up with the times because
they've never had to believe. I mean, going back for 100 years, they've never had to believe what the candidate believes in. So it's never it's like we have to believe the same thing, and then now my job is to help you get on with this company. That's never been there. It's just more exposed now. So as a recruiter, it's like keep your opinions. You can have strong opinions one way or another, but you're still trying to get placements. You're trying to get those wins, right, for your client. You're trying to get enough of those candidates, get them in there, get a hiring manager to fall in love with one of them, and get a placement.
I also think that it's there needs to be more substance into the recruiting. The recruiter has to really sell more. And this might be a lousy example, but when I was in college in the 90s, recruiters would come on campus for interviews with candidates, and then what were they doing? They were taking everybody out and showing them a good time at night and picking up the bar tabs. and that it was more. It was right, exactly. It was more memorable to the candidates that so and so from so and so company, which I won't mention here.
So is this where you guys ended up on the ferry, leaving? Like, is that where all this came from?
This was college. This was college.
Yeah, it was at Bain or BCG came to the business school, and we had like a mixer. And then they said, "Hey, listen, this has been great. We love getting to know y'all. We're gonna take this to the next place.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have to, whatever you're gonna do.
You want a job?
No pressure.
You don't have to.
It might have been Capgemini. I can't remember the firm now. You don't have to, but we're gonna go to this other place, and we're just gonna be there. There's a bunch of senior partners, and everyone's just pounding alcohol, and just like it was great conversations too, because you did kind of get to know the partners." As well as kind of the job. Like, here's the job. This is the job. This is what we do.
So let me ask you guys.
It's just a different form of recruiting.
Yeah.
Right. What do you got?
Let me ask you guys this, and I say this with sincerity. Would this be the situation where there are three men sitting here talking about and discussing the younger generations? Are we the problem?
Before we move on, I need to let you know about my friend Mark Pfeffer and his show, People Tech. If you're looking for the latest on product development, marketing, funding, big deals happening in talent acquisition, HR, HCM, that's the show you need to listen to. Go to the Work Defined Network, search up People Tech, Mark Pfeffer. You can find him anywhere.
Like, are we the problem in the workplace saying, well, this is how we have to talk to these youngsters? Like, is it time to just transition and move on?
Well, they have voices too, Ryan. I mean, there's great podcasts and great blogs and great all kinds of TikTok influencers, YouTube influencers that talk about Gen Z. So it's not like, okay, in a vacuum, there's 3 Gen X people talking about this group of people. That's not.
Well, no,
that's not the case, right? So they've got great voices to listen. There's more than us. There's, but they've got influencers. They got people they can reach out to, they listen to, and consume content from to understand kind of how the game is played. But for us to talk about it, it's like also for our audience to understand the game is fundamentally different. And I think where Jeremy started the conversation with COVID and saying, hey, these kids, they didn't have proms. They didn't go to graduations. They had to go to school differently. They had virtual school. Like their life, that was their 9/11.
Yeah.
But it was
Which
a
was,
longer
by the way,
9/11 than our 9/11.
Yeah, by the way, Jeremy, that was fantastic. Big explanation to start off with, because although I think we think about it that way, William, we don't actually voice it that way.
No.
Pre-pandemic, I mean, in my mind, because I live it with the kids, like I've seen it, like they're in my house.
Yep.
But I always say, oh, the pandemic affected them this way, but I never really separated them like that. And I think that's key.
Jobs before and jobs after, candidates before, candidates after, they were impacted in such a way that their lives were forever changed. Just like our lives with 9/11, just like our lives were forever changed. Like I remember at at Love Field in Dallas, I could pull up, right in front of the airport, leave my car on the curb, go into the terminal, and go into the gate, and like welcome the person, whoever I was picking up, welcome them at the gate. Like, hey man, good to hear. Come on, let's go. Cars parked out in front of the airport.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's Well, it's safer now, so I don't hate that.
Yeah.
However, we'll never forget. There's no way that we can ever kind of get that moment out of our minds.
Yep.
And for them, COVID, there's a life probably for a lot of the older Gen Z that there was pre-COVID, like they can remember pre-COVID school and then post-COVID. And so like that is forever changed. But I think it also has impacted what they care about. But I think what we're also dealing with is the social channels that they consume, Discord and TikTok and YouTube in particular. They're consuming content at such a rate. Like they're looking, all of our kids, those that are Gen Z and some of those that are Alpha, they're watching things at 1.5x or 2 times the speed on YouTube or on any player. Like that's normal. Like I remember was watching a comedian the other day, and one of my sons came in, and I kind of sat down and watched the comedian with her. He's like, "Can you speed this up?"
They've listened to music. Like one of mine only have playlists, the sped up versions. They don't even listen to music at the same.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's some of the sped up versions are better. I'm not gonna lie.
He sat right next to me. He's like, "Can you speed this shit up?" I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, Dad, just hover over the thing. Yeah, now put it on 2." I'm like, I did that, and it was like, I was like, you know what? This is actually better. Because there's a lot of space in comedy.
That's hilarious.
They'll tell a joke and then there's space. It's like it kills all that space.
Yeah.
So
I want to answer Ryan's question. Are we the problem? I think we could be, but I think we need to ask ourselves that question. Especially when we're having a hard time hiring people.
Yeah.
And I think we need to have the mindset of, okay, we need to avoid being the problem. We have to make sure that we're not so set in our ways that we're rolling our eyes at what we might find to be, trivial, just nonsense.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it is, but there might
really
be some things that are a little strange to us.
Yeah.
Because there's just so far afield. Like we're not. You're talking about something that maybe about the environment or about policy decisions that have really nothing to do with your job. But if that's important to the candidate pool, then we have to consider that. And maybe we don't do anything about it, but we at least owe it to ourselves and the candidates to at least give consideration to it, and and just figure out that balance, because we want to stay on the trajectory that we're on, but sometimes you got to pivot.
You've given us a really good trigger in the sense of, if you feel as a recruiter or hiring manager, if you feel your eyes are about to roll in your head, you have to ask yourself, is that a you thing?
Right.
Or them, yeah.
Right? Is that a you? It looks like, okay, someone says that they're really, really interested in women in leadership. And so, job, totally get it, got the skills, I can do the job. But I'm really interested in women in leadership, and it looks like it's a sausage factory. So, like, what's the plan?
Right.
Okay. And if you feel yourself about to roll your eyes, it's a you thing. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and if you hear it once, you're probably in all likelihood gonna hear it again. Like you're gonna hear,
right.
So that desire to roll the eyes, just don't do it. Like don't.
Yeah.
And because you're probably gonna hear something like it again, and again and again, and before you know it, oh well, then it's gonna be in your hiring manual to look out for this or that before you know it. So I'd rather be on the forefront of knowing that something is meaningful to the candidate pool before it's written down, and just
right.
It's like a cornerback guarding a wide receiver. You got to stay on the balls of your feet. I think it's part of the agility that we all need to have. Just be prepared. Don't be surprised by anything. The amount of things that are swirling around people's heads right now, William, you just referred to the amount of content that is in front of all of us, but particularly the Gen Zers who don't remember life without social media. This is part of their being, and we need to just recognize that and not be cynical, which is hard.
Drops mic, walks off stage. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been fantastic. We'll have you back. We'll tackle another topic next time, but this has been great. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank the audience. We'll see y'all next time.